I have a 6-year-old daughter who just, loves princess stories, and so I thought it'd be really neat to do a princess story out of the Bible. And the story of Ruth is a wonderful story. It's a love story, it's a story about devotion to your family. And so we decided to do it as a prequel to King George and the Ducky, and set it in the King George and the Ducky world.
Oh, now I'm happy!
Storyboarding is my favorite part of the whole process, and it's something we do right up front, right after the script is written. It's like putting the whole show like a comic strip. You just draw one drawing for each action. Todd Carter and Brian Roberts did the majority of the storyboards. Brian and Todd came up with some great gags, and even our editor came up with the gag. Joel hit the gag when the little pea jumps off the diving board yelling, "Matzo ball!" instead of cannonball. Love that gag.
Now, today we got a letter from Cody Gordon in Evergreen, Colorado.
After we storyboard the whole show, we get all the drawings pinned up, and we'll pitch it to the rest of the company. And doing a story pitch can be exhausting because it's like a 45-minute one-man play.
It's like a totally cute baby!
It not only gives everyone else a chance to understand what we're working on, but if we're pitching it and the rest of the company's not laughing at the jokes we want to put in there, we know, okay, we've got some trouble. We have some things we need to rework in here.
In all my years, this has got to be the sorriest lot of nights I've ever seen. You'll never be fit for battle. Sire, yes, sire. All right, it worked.
The idea for the look of this show went back to a lot of the old MGM musicals, where they would build part of a set and behind that have a painted background. And it looks very storybookish, very fairy tale. In fact, if you look at movies like Wizard of Oz, you can actually see it's a painted background.
This show marked a real extension of our use of flats. And what I mean by flats is, in 3D animation, everything has to be built or constructed, almost like you're making it in real life, like you were building it out of paper or cardboard. But instead of building this enormous set that goes off onto the horizon, we can just build the foreground areas, just the hills and a few trees, and then the background is just one painting.
Ultimately, the things you see on screen are all computer, but most of them, if not all of them, come out of hand-drawn art. That's what everything springboards off of.
Whenever we cast these shows, we have our stock cast to choose from, and usually, different characters play the similar parts. You've got Nezer, who's usually the big heavy or the some sort of leader, and Larry's often the a kind hero. And but we had the story of Princess Petunia, and we really didn't have a character who could fit into that role. We don't have a lot of female characters to choose from.
We hadn't had a leading female character since Esther in Esther the Girl Who Would Be Queen. And Esther was kind of a problematic actress. When we originally designed her, we designed this great hair that kind of flopped around all over the place. But when we produced that show, her hair didn't always work so well. And so we would have shots where we would have to re-render it over and over because her hair was going crazy. So at the end of that show, when we finished Esther, it was basically pronounced that we would never be using that character again because she was just too difficult to work with. So Princess and the Pie Wars gave us the opportunity to create a brand new female heroine for VeggieTales.
It's a lot of work for us because there's a lot to build a new character, to design a new character. So the first big challenge with a new character is we don't know what their personality is like.
Oh, missed the door.
The next big challenge that we have is what do they really look like?
There must have been piles and piles of Sweet Petunia drawings. Originally, Sweet Petunia looked like Larry wearing girls' clothing, and that looked a little weird. When you're designing a character also, you're really going for a design that's really appealing. She's a vegetable, so the challenge is to make a vegetable look pretty.
Wow, Nona sure has changed.
And then we have to eventually get it into a 3D world, so that's the third challenge that we have to face. So what we do, and I like to do it, we did it with Hope when we did the Easter Carol, is we build or sculpt a maquette of the new character.
When we design a character, we'll do several views of her as a drawing, but even then there's some information that's hard to tell for a computer person to model it or to sculpt it in the computer. So the best thing is to sculpt a real version of it. In fact, I sculpted this maquette just to give a complete view all the way around so you can see all the detail on her. And even sculpting it, you find out things that you drew that aren't really possible in reality.
Well, once we kind of know, we've decided what the type of character is, we may not know who the voice is going to be. In the case of Princess Petunia, we kind of knew what the character was like and what we wanted out of the character. So then we just had auditions.
The person we found to voice the character just did a great job. You know, she's the wife of somebody that works here at Big Idea and a professional actress.
Her voice had some of the inflection and sort of the sweetness that we were looking for.
We really loved the character of Princess Petunia, or Petunia, and she's actually coming up in the very next episode, which is Minnesota Cuke in the Search for Samson's Hairbrush.
Obviously with Princess we're doing this medieval sort of story.
We needed kind of a narrator for part of the story, and it's a lot of fun to have singing narration.
All of us were Monty Python fans, and so we naturally think of, a bunch of guys singing in falsetto voices. And so we always thought, yeah, and we hope that works, So we get all through it, we write all the music, and we get there to the booth and start recording. And it was the scariest thing I've ever heard. But then we kept working at it, we got all the voices layered together and got them singing, and it's pretty funny.
There's some portions in Princess where there's quite a bit of talking going on, a lot of dialogue, interaction with the characters. But it's fun to pick up on all their little emotions as they're talking to each other and play those into the music and add a little bit to the emotion, or if one of them is surprised by something, we play right into that and help the audience follow that along. For example, when the princess is asking Larry to joust for her so that they can get the other half of the duck, we wanted to create a little tension there. We see Larry thinking, boy, could I really do that? I mean, this is a big deal. Sure, I'll do it. So all of a sudden the music turns around immediately and we're surprised. She's surprised. Wow, he said yes, he's going to do it. That's great. So it's fun to read into that and add the music that helps us move through that scene.
I know this is a lot to ask, but I want, I need you to joust for me.
Well then, yes.
Yes?
Yes, of course I'll joust for you.
And now it's time for The Blues with Larry.
I love the silly song, The Blues with Larry, and it was fun because Tim and I got to work on it together. Tim came with this concept of, Larry singing the blues, and of course, Larry's just way too happy to sing the blues, so it's sort of a lost cause.
My first idea for that was probably about 5 years ago, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if you had a character who wasn't sad enough to sing the blues, because I had a happy childhood, and I had the song in my head for a long time about the happy childhood blues.
Oh, happy, sticky, happy, sticky, happy place.
We've looked at a lot of Bible stories that we've told at VeggieTales. We've told Josh and the Great Wall. We've done David and the Giant Pickle. But there's a lot of other stories in the Bible that are maybe more difficult to tell, or they're really expansive. And Moses is a story like that. So we thought, well, we want to tell something about Moses, so how do we do that? And so we opted to go for, Moses when he was a baby and what the impact of that was on his family.
The story of Miriam and Moses, here you got this sister who risked her life for her little brother. And that's just a great story of putting someone else's needs before yourself. The original story of Babysitter and Denial, we had put a lot more of the story back in where the guards were actually searching for the babies. Because if you remember in the biblical story, they were looking for the baby boys to take them away. And we had several scenes where the guards were looking through the house for the baby Moses. And it was kind of funny. We had made, the baby was being hidden in this place and that, and a lot of funny gags. But unfortunately, when we put it in the story where it was, it made it look like Miriam was watching out for her brother, which was good, but in our story she hadn't learned that lesson yet. So she was actually acting on putting her brother first before we wanted her to know that that's what she was supposed to do. And we also had to make sure that she didn't know that the guards were creating a danger. Because if Miriam was reluctant to take care of her brother when she knew his life was in danger, it'd make her very unlikable.
But now we have all these shots that have already been animated of peas, coming in looking for the baby. So we thought, well, let's not let them go to waste. So we put those as a nice little tidbit over the credits. So when you see those in the credits, you'll know those were originally in the scene where Miriam's getting the food thrown on her by baby Moses.
With Babysitter, when we came to working on the score, it takes place in Egypt, Middle Eastern sounds. Okay, what does that conjure up? A lot of ethnic drums, some flutes and whistles and reedy type instruments, a lot of stringed instruments. So I had some of those instruments lying around. I was able to pick up a doumbek here, and this one's actually made in Turkey, and I used this on some of the show. Sometimes when we're creating themes, we're taking not only melodies, but instrumentation styles. So we look at the Egyptian groups and we have a different sound for that than we do for the Jewish family. With the Jewish family, we use some of the traditional Jewish sounds with clarinet and some of the stringed instruments.
I think the lesson for Princess and the Pie Wars is really important for kids, to be able to put others in front of yourself, especially when it comes to your family. And the reason that God gives us families is so that we can help one another. And we do that best, we love each other best by putting the other person first.
I just love my little brother is all.